Hi, my name is Hugo. I'm a junior here at Williams. I'm studying computer science and French. I'm not sure what else you want me to say, but I mean, extracurriculars wise, God, I've taken on way too many things. I TA for CS department. I do web design for the Williams record. I am music director for the E Flats, an a cappella group. I mean, this is for Williams students. I'm sure they know what that is. And I also just joined a jazz combo, which is so much fun.
That's awesome. Wow,
Uh,
there's a lot of music going on, huh?
mhm,
Okay, cool. So I know we've got a latest venture on the Williams campus.
mhm.
Do you mind telling us this might be repeating ourselves, the inception of the idea behind Tit for Tat and, um, the current website today?
Yeah, so Tit for Tat is a website that I made for Williams students to buy and sell things from each other. So if you have any secondhand things that you want to sell that you don't really need anymore, it's a great place to give that away to other students and maybe get some money in return. The original idea was actually given to me by a friend. We were planning on working on this project for a hackathon, but then we decided that we were kind of busy at that time, and I decided to work on this project over winter break. So that's kind of how it started. And right now we've just launched recently. We launched last week. So I've been working on, new features and thinking about how I want to take this forward and sort of evaluating how the first week has gone.
We're very excited. So I think one thing to follow up is how much of web design or kind of background knowledge did you have coming in? You're a CS major, but also know like relatively junior in the industry as a whole. Like what did that kind of look like in the learning curve?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Williams doesn't really have any web development courses, which is kind of
Yeah.
sad. But I got into web development over the really long summer, actually, while I was at home. I
Hmm.
wanted to build a personal website just because I thought that'd be really fun to have. So I did some small online courses just to get myself familiarized with the basics of web development.
Hmm.
And I first made that personal website. And then over the winter, when I was creating this site, I just had to do a lot of research and a lot of Googling, a lot of YouTube videos to get myself up to speed.
Yes.
Since I was using like a totally different tech stack for this website. So a lot of learning on my own, but it was really fruitful.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a lot of effort. So I think one
Mhm.
thing, I mean, I know kids who have signed up for online. I have too as well. What was one thing that kind of kept you going through the courses, and didn't make you stop halfway?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, what really helped is I was at home for such a long time,
Yeah.
but also I always think about, what the end product is going to be. So when I'm doing this course, I'm thinking about, oh, how can I use this thing that I'm learning in this lesson right now in the project that I'm going to make in the future?
Hmm.
And I think that really gets me excited about getting through the course so that I can start working because I get all these ideas as I'm going through it. I'm like, this is really cool. I want to use this in my site. And so that I think that's what really kept me going. And on top of that, I also have a couple of friends who know web development, especially a friend that I had back home that I hang out with a lot over summer. And he definitely gave me a lot of encouragement and showed me some of the projects he's been working on. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I want to do that.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay, I love that. That's a lot of infectious energy.
Mhm,
So I think maybe if we could talk about process. So you get an idea, right? You and your friends are working towards this hackathon.
mhm.
You have this kind of end product concept. How did you think about the structure of your actual website? Like, how did you approach that design? I know because you did this pretty much single-handedly, building out the site and this, service, essentially this platform. What kind of choices did you make, and how did you go about kind of vetting them out yourself?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a really long process and so many things that go into that. And sort of, it's the kind of thing where once you start working on the site and you fix one feature, you realize there's 30 more things that you need to do.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think for me, it was really just taking it step by step, and instead of always worrying about, oh, how is this going to fit with the next thing I'm going to do, just focus on the next task. And then so for me, I started off by just trying to get as much of the functionality in as I could. I didn't think about design
Okay.
or making the site look good. I just wanted to make sure, if you click this button, it'll do the right thing and it'll connect to the database correctly. And just testing little by little, building on top of one another, and slowly making progress. Yeah.
Got it. And I guess then did you make sketches of what you wanted everything to connect back to? Like obviously, I feel like as your marketplace grows, it's going to be a little bit more complex,
Mhm.
especially if you add on the new features that you were talking about. And
Mhm.
what did that look like in terms of framework design?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I would have improved if I could go back and do this again. Um, I think some parts weren't super organized in the sense that I would have notes written down and just a lot of ideas sort of jotted down of things I wanted to do, and I try to tackle them in order that I felt like made the most sense.
Hmm.
But definitely, if I were going back, I think I would have thought everything through and sort of planned exactly what I wanted to do from the beginning. But it it definitely worked out in the end. But it was a learning process, especially since I was learning how to do all of the coding as I was doing the project.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh,
Uh,
can you still hear me?
yeah.
Okay, very sorry. I thought I lost you. So maybe we can hop into kind of the coming stuff that we're talking about. So,
Mhm.
what are the existing features versus what is some stuff that you have coming for the site that you're still working on?
Yeah, so right now, you can make an account with the site. It
Hmm.
forces you to have a williams.edu
Yeah.
email just so I can keep it within the community. And then you can create a new product and add photos and add description. And once you do it, it'll show up on everyone's feed where you can scroll through. You can filter it by category and you can filter by tag. You can also search by title if you'd like. And then the way that I decided to set up the site was a bidding system. So you put how much money you want for it, and people can submit bids for how much they're willing to pay for it. But you can't see anyone else's bid, so it's just totally up to what you want to pay for the product. And then,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and whoever's selling the product gets to see a list of all the bids with who bid them. And then when they feel comfortable accepting a certain price, they just click accept. It sends an email to both people saying that there's, this item has been sold with each other's contact information. And I decided not to do payment through the site because that would be really, really messy since you'd be paying each other and not like paying me who owns the site. So instead, once you've sold an item, you and whoever's buying it just figure it out on your own through email, however you want to do the transaction. Um, and did you ask about new features?
Yes, if you could elaborate on what new stuff you want to add.
Yeah, right now, like this weekend, the big thing I'm working on is a bit of a chat feature in the app because one of the main feedback I gotten over this first week was it's hard to get into contact with someone who's selling a product
Yeah.
without having to place a bid for that product.
Mm.
So I'm trying to add that so that if you have a question for someone who's selling something, you can quickly type a question and they can respond to you. Um, and then moving forward, some bigger features. I definitely will hopefully do a bit of redesigning. I'm still not great with design, and I think I'm going to be working with some people who are really good at UI design to beef up some parts of that.
Hmm.
And another big idea that someone pitched to me the other day was the option to sell services of some kind. So if you're someone who can do haircuts, I know
Yeah,
that is
I
just
know.
that's like a big thing on campus. If you can cut hair, I mean, you can definitely make bank off of that. So that'd be cool. Or if there's anything else that you're able to do, like repair clothes or anything, that would be really, really cool. And then maybe also having a system where people can borrow things from each other, which I think could be a offshoot of the bidding system and the buying system,
Yeah,
where
totally.
you like don't have to pay for it. But if you say, hey, I'm looking to borrow this thing for this day, does anyone have one? I think that would also be really useful for students.
For sure. And I guess an inquiry about the specific bidding. I didn't know you couldn't see someone else's bid.
Mhm.
Don't you think that disrupts the marketplace a little bit? And do you think that's how to say like an accessible way or like an equitable way?
Hmm. Um, I think the reason why I decided to make it this way is I wanted students to sort of base what I want to pay this much just because this is how much I want to pay and not
Yeah.
sort of be influenced by what everyone else is
Hmm.
saying in a sense that it's not meant to be sort of a you're trying to one up and someone else's bid
Yeah.
in order to get that thing at a certain price.
Hmm.
And I think sort of along with that, I also set it up so that whoever is selling the product can sort of choose through the bids which one they want to accept, rather than having it be, if you put a price at 10, the first person who bids 10 or more, it's automatically sold to them. And I think I did these two together because I don't think they'd make sense on their own.
Yeah,
But in this way, because I wanted the site to be something that people can use however they want, and there's as few rules as possible, and it's just something that students can do it how they like. And if you want to sell it to someone that or to a friend who bid on your product,
hmm,
I think the way that I saw it is that's totally up to you. And if I was going to make it so that you could choose who you want to sell it with, sell it to, I thought it also kind of made sense on the other hand to make the bidding just between you and the seller.
got it, got it. Okay, sure. And have you thought about what functionality? I know we talked about this earlier, but what functionality besides you covered exclusivity for the site? But in terms of that, I know we could have had, I know WSO is a resource for people selling stuff, even though it's not very like well integrated or isolated. And that, there's like Facebook Marketplace. So what about Tit for Tat that makes it, a benefit to our community?
Yeah, I think that it's useful in particular just because its main function is for buying and selling items. I know there is that section on WSO, and there's also Switchboard, but the way that like I've seen it is they're not super used. A lot of people don't really know that it's there.
Hmm.
And because this site is specifically for buying and selling, again, we can add whatever features are best for students. For example, the bidding system that I made is definitely not something that's available in the other apps.
Yeah,
And with the images and with the design that I've made, it's really easy to look through and find things that you're looking to buy. And also, if you're the one selling, it's also really easy to add something and add the information that you would like. Um,
totally.
so yeah, so I thought that it would work best sort of as a standalone thing.
Yeah. And um, how have you kind of marketed your platform so far?
So most of it I've done through social media. One of my friends, Lydia, she runs the social media for
Hmm.
this. Been super, super helpful for me. And I think most Williams students through Instagram, it's the easiest way to get the word out. I put it on daily messages, and I definitely told as many people that I knew as possible about this. I'm just hoping that at this point, once people have things to sell, especially once we wind down the semester and seniors are leaving and they want to get
Yeah.
um, I'm hoping that as long as like some people know that it's a thing, they'll spread the word and people will put stuff up, and hopefully it'll become something that sticks around at Williams and that people know about, like WSO.
Yeah, totally. And in regards to maybe even further down the line expansion, do you see this kind of model? Do you see the doing this kind of platform for a different school?
It's definitely something I've been thinking about. I've really been thinking about what I want to do with this once I graduate. And I think the two options for me at this point are something like WSO, where next year before I graduate, I find someone or a couple of people who would like to take over the app. And I hand the reins over to them and keep it within Williams. But the other would be, keeping it something that I continue to work on in the future. If I could turn into a company of some sort, which are just ideas at this point. And I know I have friends at other schools I've been talking about who sound kind of interested in this because
Yeah.
their campus doesn't have something similar. It would be really, really awesome if I could get something like this launched at other schools. I think it'd be
Hmm.
really useful.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something I'm going to be exploring probably over the summer and talking to people about that.
Got it. And so what does commitment look like during school for you right now?
It's been pretty hectic recently, just trying to get everything launched. Definitely the couple of weeks before launch, it was taking up a really large chunk of my time, just because there were so many last minute things I didn't realize I had to be done, had to get done before the date that I said that I wanted to launch it.
Yeah.
Um, but now that it is out, it's definitely a little more relaxed. I'm sort of working at my own pace within or sort of around my schoolwork and my other things. Since all of the main functionality is there, the other features are sort of add-ons that I can sort of work on as I go.
Got it. Okay, cool. That wraps me up, except, oh, one more question. So let's say someone is in your seat, but as a freshman and they have an idea. What's a piece of advice you would give?
Hmm. I think my advice would be you've got to try it in order to know if it's something that you really want to do or something that can be done, because I know for me with a project like this and other projects I've worked on in the past, I get the idea and I'm thinking, is this something I can do? Is this something I have the time to do? But it's not until you really jump into it and get started on it that you can really realize, all right, this is something I want to do and keep working on, or maybe there are other ideas I can pursue instead. So I guess my advice is just, if you have an idea, go for it.